Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name is Ben Reeve. This is my favourite time of the year, everyone. This is our season preview for 2024 of the AFL season. If this is your first time joining us, this is a very, very biased Cats show, but we are going to touch on the rest of the AFL comp a little bit in our predictions. But before we do all that, most importantly, let's bring in the guys. Who have we got? Paul James. Welcome, Paul.
It's good to be back. New year and a new Cats premiership.
Yeah, it's coming, mate. It's coming, but we'll get to that. Johnny, how's things, mate?
Yeah, not too bad.
Do I see an
Ben,
additional Guernsey in the background there, Johnny? Is that a new one? No.
Yeah, it's a premiership from 2022 one, and then just the other ones that I had from the instant react that we did.
I thought it was a good omen because every 2 years we win a premiership. Well, we win a bit of a time there without one, but we're back this year. And Jake, welcome, mate.
Thank you. Good to be here. And just to piggyback on what Paul was saying, I think 2024 brings two new premierships, one in the M and one in the W. I think there we go.
Yes. I was hedging my bets by selecting one, but sure, I'll take two.
I'll see that, Jake, and I'll raise you VFL premierships as well. So there you go. We're going to win it. We're going to win all four this year. That's the way it's going to go. But
we're going to bring the NAB Cup back just so we can get a fifth as well.
The NAB Cup?
What about the Falcons?
Well, the Wizard Cup.
Oh, no.
We're claiming the Falcons, Johnny. I think we'll claim them as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's go. I'll go through a quick rundown of what the show's going to be about. If you haven't watched a season preview before, it's great fun. We're not experts on footy. We just call it how we see it. Maybe some of us are, but I'm definitely not. We'll start off with going through some of the ins and outs from the team from last year, coming in this year through the draft and recruits and so forth. We'll have a bit of a look at what the injury situation is like. Not that it's too bad at the moment, but we'll have a look at that. We'll touch on some of the milestones that we've got coming up this year with a few players. We won't go through every single one, but there is quite a few and some very, very big ones. And then I'm going to ask the guys what they think in terms of who might debut for the Catters this year and maybe what order that might be in as well. So I'll share my best 22 and I might get the guys to comment and tell me how stupid it is, but we'll go with that. And then we'll maybe have a little bit of a look at the fixture and what that means for the Cats and whether it's a good fixture, a bad fixture, whatever. And then we might finish off with some predictions. That's the juicy part right at the end there. All right, so without further ado, I might throw to Paul just to take us through some of the departures and see if we all fit in the screen here. Well, we just fit. Some of the departures from the Cats. What a graphic. How good.
Nice.
We're a polished operation here, and we're farewelling 8 different players in style here. Sammy Silk, Simpson, Flynn Kroger, Cooper White, Oscar Riccardi, Isaac Smith with a retirement and 4 premierships, Sammy Menegola, Jonathan Segler, and Asava Radaglia off to Port. It feels like more departures than we've had in previous years. I don't know. It's a weird one. Just off the top of the head, it felt like a bigger cull than previous years. But then when you look at it and you go, it's only 8. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a bit of misremembering. I don't know. Sad to see them all go, though. I think for me specifically, Sam, Isaac, and both Sam, and Isaac Smith are probably the biggest departures and most impactful to the actual on-field performance.
What do you reckon, Jake? Who are you most sad from this group to farewell? We'll probably see a bit of Oscar Riccardi again because he's running around the VFL, but who of this group do you reckon?
Honestly, yeah, like Jonathan Segler, long time, big fan of the Segs machine. Flynn Kroger, I would say. I know that sounds weird, but I really liked watching Flynn Kroger the couple of games he managed last year in the VFL. He had absolutely horror-stricken sort of injury run in his time at the Cattery, but the couple of times he actually got back on the field at the end of last year, I sort of thought you could see what the Cats saw in him. Really sort of powerful body. And I sort of liked the idea of him coming in, this year or next as sort of like a Jake Collar-Jasny, challenger, I guess, someone to push someone like Collar or Buse or those sort of guys for a spot. A bit sad to see him go, but I guess that's just the way of it.
What about you, Johnny?
Definitely sad to see Isaac Smith go, but also not surprised that he did retire. He had a great time at the Cats, obviously 4 premierships, 3 with the some other team that we're not going to mention here.
Mm.
And probably Sam Menegola as well. He helped the Cats get through a big period there from 2011 or whenever he came in till 2022. So he was a pretty big contributor for the Cats for a long time. So it's unfortunate he missed out on a premiership, but he still had a major impact for the Cats. So he'll be definitely missed by me as well.
Yeah, look, for me, it's probably a guy who hasn't played in the senior team, but someone we were excited to see was Oscar Riccardi. I really hope that we'd get a chance to see him run around. We'll still get to see him in the VFL, and maybe that's not the end of the road for him, but he'll get another opportunity. Let's hope. But yeah, we had him on Paul's show behind the play. Would have been a year ago, Paul, almost to the day.
Yeah,
really,
I think we're talking kind of late pre-season.
Yep.
Last year.
If you're new to this channel, you'll always we'll always throw in a plug or two for a show here or there. And if you stay to the end, you're getting a whole bunch of plugs. All right, Jake, take us through some of the arrivals to the Cats this year. And again, another fantastic graphic.
Yeah, so I know this is just feel like I'm in I'm in the is there an arrivals lounge? I don't do a lot of plane travel. I'm in a departures lounge, but that's just where we were. I had a few too many at the departure lounge, but we're arriving now. Connor O'Sullivan comes in, Mark Blixarves 2.0, George Stevens, Oliver Wiltshire.
Kicked 4 goals in the first half. Ollie Wiltshire did.
I know, 4-goal Ollie. Sean Manor comes over from Werribee. Lawson Humphreys, Mitch Edwards, Joe Furphy, who would have one of the greatest footy card faces of all time, and Emerson Jecker. So those are the 8 who come in via arrivals.
Who of that 8 do you think is going to don the hoops in the senior team first?
Sean Manor, for me. I just think he's sort of ready to come in and have an immediate impact. He's not, he doesn't have to put in that off season or multiple off seasons of work to get his body up to the level of the physicality. So I sort of think Sean Manor was brought in to be an immediate sort of fringe player to help top up the depth. And I think out of those, I'd say he's the one I think's most likely to get straight into the side if that were to happen.
Good idea. Yeah, it's a possibility with Guthrie going in. Not that it's a like-for-like replacement, but maybe someone sort of spends a bit more time forward and in the midfield and one of the forwards, and then I think Manor's more of a forward mid, isn't he? Anyway, Johnny, which one of these crew, pun intended, which one of these guys are you most excited to see? I'm personally hearing good things about Connor O'Sullivan and Lawson Humphreys, but what about you?
Pretty excited to see what George Stevens brings. I've seen a little bit about him. He seems pretty passionate about the club. Been around, I think it was St. Joey's growing up, and had the players come visit the school, and that really inspired him. And now he's doing that. So he's got that real Geelong feel about him, that he's ready to put all his effort into the Cats. So when he gets his debut, I think he's going to just play his absolute skin out and do everything he can to impress everyone and cement a spot. So yeah, I think George Stevens for me would be the one I'll be really looking forward to.
I reckon he'll get a game this year. Paul, Emerson Jecker, we got rid of 3 Hawthorn blokes on the previous slide last year. We've brought in another one. What do you think of Emerson Jecker? But also, who are you most excited about to see from this crew?
I mean, it was a great point. It was great to be seeing the back of a few Hawthorn blokes. The less of them around the club, the better. But Emerson Jecker comes in. Look, I mean, he fulfills a need, I think, in terms of, I guess, that next generation coming through in some of those key position roles. Whether he's a long-term prospect, I guess, is a whole other thing. We'll have to just wait and see how he kind of develops within the VFL and then if he gets opportunities at the senior level. For, I guess, amongst the rest, and to kind of address the George Stevens one, I'd heard the name pop up a few times in and around draft time from people at other clubs kind of giving me some of their thoughts. But also then chatting to some of the boys when that day that Ben and I drifted down to go and check out training and chat to some of the boys afterwards. And his was a name that kept coming up quite a lot simply because, I guess of what you guys were saying, where like that effort you can't question, and then he's just got this big frame. The big question mark I think against him was always going to be speed, but he seemed to have trimmed down a little bit. That was one of the first observations that you and I, Ben, first made initially. Is, from what you saw in the footage from his draft year to what we were seeing in that preseason, you could already see he clearly spent a lot of time on the treadmill and kind of, I guess, dropping any potential quote unquote puppy fat, just to get himself in that kind of fighting fit condition. And if you can add to that with the fact that he's already got kind of a great build for an inside midfield bull, he could be great. And yeah, hopefully he does get an opportunity this year. But for me, from that group, I mean, Sean Manor will be first, I think. But it would be good to see Connor O'Sullivan get a gig this year. You feel like the opportunity is there if he wants to take it. And I feel like, again, everything we're hearing is positive. I don't know. I feel like there's two kind of obvious standouts, but I think about the Mitch Edwardses and those. I mean, if things kind of align, we know that we've obviously lost John O'Segler now. Reece Stanley is injury prone, as has been Big Toby Conway for the early stage of his career. You kind of never know how the skies might part, and it just kind of gives Mitch Edwards an opportunity that maybe he doesn't necessarily deserve at that point. And I don't mean that like a really negative, snarky sort of way, but maybe he hasn't necessarily earned the stripes yet. But the skies might part. He gets an opportunity and lights it up, and that'd be awesome too.
Yeah, I think he's down the order a little bit for me. For me, the two, I think it'll be Sean Manor that goes first of the new arrivals, I should say. Connor O'Sullivan, I thought was going to be ready to go, but because he played in the VFL last week, maybe they're just saving him a little bit longer. Could be could be one of those second-year players though. That he won't be. I don't think they'll be jumping ahead of this crop, but. Maybe Phoenix. He's a bit of injury at the moment, so he might have a bit of a delayed start to the season, maybe. But look, I'm excited about that crop. I think they're going to go okay. I think there'll be opportunities this year. A lot of player management. You imagine. I think with George Stevens, maybe that'll be one. If Danger gets rested, that might be his chance if he's going well enough in the VFL. Another midfield bull to step in there, possibly.
Well, you've got Jai to contend with as well, though.
Yeah, too. Jai's there. Different. Yeah, is he big enough? I don't know. Yeah, there's so many players to fit in, and if everyone's fit, which they seem to be for the most part at the moment, yeah, who knows? Now, I did have a graphic which I haven't added for some reason, but in terms of the coaching outs and ins as well. So, Johnny, I'm not sure if you've got the notes in front of you, but if you haven't, just seeing out.
The notes. Yeah, I've got the notes here.
Beautiful.
So
yeah, go for it, mate.
Losing Daisy Pearce, she's off to AFLW West Coast as head coach. Sean Grigg off to Gold Coast, no surprise there. And Matthew Egan's off to Western Bulldogs. Bit of a shame to lose all those guys, but also pretty excited for Daisy Pearce to get the head coach at West Coast. And I know a lot of Cats fans had a lot of hard feelings about it, but what person in their right mind would turn down the head coaching role at a club? But
yeah,
I can't blame her.
I think you're right.
And
I think we're all happy for her. Yeah.
And Sean Grigg off to Gold Coast. Damien Hardwick's there. No surprise. And Matthew Egan just, going off to find new, exciting ideas, learn how to coach and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm not too fussed about losing these coaches. Like, it happens all the time. Coaches come in and go. You get new ones. It's not I don't think it's going to be hugely impactful at the Cats, but it could be.
You got to freshen up
you guys?
In a while, don't you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, we saw all the comments about the departures in recent years, Scarlo and Boris and all those sorts of guys. And
yeah,
as much as they're club legends and we love them, it didn't hurt us. Was it the end of 2021 that actually those departures happened? So then 2022 we won a premiership.
Yep.
So
yeah, it happened. Yeah. While we've got you, Paul, do you reckon that Shawnee Grigg and Matty Egan, are they senior coaches in the making at some stage? I'd love to see Matty Egan have a crack at winning a premiership as a coach. Fortunately, for anyone who might be younger than 30 might not remember that he was an All-Australian in our 2007 premiership year. Missed out because of was it navicular? I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
He's been in the coaching game for quite a while now. Is he a chance? Do you reckon?
Look, he's certainly dabbling in a range of different roles. Obviously, kind of defense was kind of his starting point with in terms of the on-field exploits, but also off it in the coaching capacity. But then, obviously, with the Cats, he finished as a head of development. So, it feels like he's trying to engage with a whole range of different coaching disciplines, and then it's just a matter of time as to whether he feels like he's ready to make that jump, and then of course the other half of it being whether a club wants to take him on as the head coach. But it feels like he's a chance. Sean Grigg is an interesting one. I think it's just want to just rejoin old mate Dimmer. I don't know. Don't know if necessarily development wise, and I wouldn't dare to necessarily accuse, but it feels like more of a reconvening. I'm a bit bothered by mosquitoes now. Sounds like more of an opportunity to reconvene with his good mate, more so than necessarily taking another step up in terms of his coaching. But I could be wrong.
Jake, how do you reckon Daisy's going to go over in the West Coast? Do you reckon is AFLW where it's it for her, or could she? Not to say that's if that's as far as she goes, that's a fail. But do you see her as an AFL men's coach at some point in the future? Too early.
Maybe. Yeah, 100%. No, I definitely think. I think in our lifetime, in the next 2 decades, whatever number you want to put on it, I think it happens. I think Geelong is a great candidate to be one of the first teams to do it. I think she's going to absolutely kill it over at the Eagles. I think it's a massive get. They got a couple of massive gets from the Cats with not only Daisy Pearce but Annabelle Johnson as well, who I thought was one of our best, say 3 or 4 defenders from the Cats. So no, I think it's great for Daisy. I think it's great for the development of her career. And like John said, like an absolute no-brainer. Like you're going to be, was she a part-time assistant at Geelong? I can't remember what the exact term was, but you go to being, head of the operation and the chance to build a club essentially from the ground up. You're taking an Eagles team that was really struggling the last few seasons, and I think she's going to put them well and truly back on the map, which is awesome.
Yeah,
and if that works out, maybe they can pivot her across to the men's and try and build them back up too.
Yeah, that's right. Mid-season.
Oh dear. Johnny, take us through some of the new ins that we've got in the coaching ranks this year. I should have queued up the Lord of the Rings music here, but we'll blame Colin on that one.
Yeah, Colin's fault. So we've got Stephen King, Return of the King. I'm sure that's what music you're going to bring in.
That's right. Well done.
James Riley and Sean Higgins. So all 3 big Cats people. Sean Higgins was North Melbourne, but he's always been around Geelong. But I think it's good for the Cats, bringing back some legends of the Geelong Footy Club, and especially Stephen King. Then he had a bit of senior coaching experience at Gold Coast, where he did really well. Riley was at Adelaide, and he was, I think, midfield coach, and he got that midfield up.
Development, maybe? Something. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Sorry, I can't remember.
Something like that.
But
he was highly rated, though.
Yeah, highly rated. And Sean Higgins, I'm pretty sure he's development, and I feel like it's all good signs for the Cats. Good people to bring in, people who know the Cats very well, know how the system works. So, yeah, no-brainers in my opinion.
Paul, what do you think, mate? Any
concerns? I mean,
happy with that?
At face value, especially Kingy and Riley, they've got the experience now. Riley's obviously been with the Cats and then gone elsewhere to explore what other teams can offer before returning. Kingy's kind of done a little bit of the circuit as well, and as was mentioned, has done the head honcho gig at the Suns for a little while there, which is obviously huge experience, and positions him pretty well for opportunities down the line. Why the time was right for them to come back to the Cats, I don't know. That's, I guess, totally their own choice. And but I think they'll be hugely beneficial for the Cats, though. So, premierships helps.
Premierships. Yep. Jake, what do you reckon about Sean Higgins? Because you probably spent a fair bit of the tail end of his career in the VFL and on the injury list. What do you think of him as a coach? And have you heard any stories about him in terms of his leadership, maybe at the VFL ranks? I know you're all across that.
Yeah. Look, I can't actually say. No, that's right. I can't actually say I've heard any stories, but there's a couple of key points when you think about someone like Sean Higgins coming back, and that is he's a journeyman. So he's been at multiple different levels, multiple different clubs, knows the ins and outs of footy and what a footy career can entail, the highs, the lows, all that sort of thing. So I think, that's a good influence to have around a group that's developing, when you've got a mix of, really young guys, a mix of guys who are at the back end of their career. Like, we talk a bit about, like, how do you develop the young guys? How do you see them into the side and develop their careers and all that? The other thing I think that gets talked about less, but probably should get talked about more, is how do you develop guys and help them transition at the other end? Guys who are getting towards, speaking of the departures lounge, like, how do you manage that? You need to have people around the club that are going to help them through a really tricky part of their career too. Like, guys who might suddenly be playing a little bit more VFL, and who might have a retirement in the next 2 seasons. I think that's an underrated part of having some experience like that around the club. I think obviously he must, he knows his footy and that sort of thing. He's played enough of it. But the most important factor is the fact that he always wore his socks up. And that's something that should be mandatory for every player. And I think it's a great influence to bring back. I just had one last little note about James Rahili.
Forwards coach.
Was on Chris Scott's 2011 AFL Premiership staff. So
okay. So he has won a premiership for the club already.
Yes, 2011. So he was an assistant coach in 2008 with the VFL team. I was appointed to Chris Scott's senior coaching staff for the 2011 season. So maybe a good omen.
There you go. All right, let's move along to some injuries. Now, we've spoken about this on a few other shows, but we have to touch on it. Cam Guthrie's the big one, and we'll come back to him in a second. Ollie Henry didn't play in the practice match, community series practice match the other day with a foot or ankle or something like that. Joe Furphy, world's best footy card man, has got a foot as well. Yeah, and Gary Rowan, Chucky, has got back issues and hasn't really had much of an opportunity in terms of game time. Played a little bit. We've seen him running around a little bit at training and so forth, but maybe they want to bring him back through the VFL. But let's start with Cam Guthrie. Johnny, where do you think they said 8 weeks a few weeks ago. Does that mean he's back round 6, or are you thinking it's going to be one of these Geelong injury things where it's all year again?
Fingers crossed it is round 6, because we don't want another year of Cam Guthrie struggling with an injury that's like should be pretty easily fixed, but could go on and on and on. Because if it does go on again, he might consider retiring and finishing up, which would be a damn shame because he's such a great player. So fingers crossed it's round 6, round 7, around that time, because we definitely need him in the squad. He's such a experienced and important player for the team. And yeah, I don't want to see him sitting on sideline for another year with a really annoying injury that just doesn't fix itself.
We can't help be a bit doom and gloom about it, even though he might come back and it'll be totally fine, and we've forgotten about it round 10 because he's winning, getting Brownlow votes here, there, and everywhere. Jake, you're devastated about Joe Furphy, I can tell. No, look, are you of these 4, Guthrie, Henry, Furphy, and Rowan? Apart from Guthrie, maybe, is there any that you're concerned about there? Are you concerned about Rowan? I don't know. Where's your head at with all this stuff? Overall, pretty good list, pretty good injury list, though.
Yeah, and I think like with Rowan, it's sort of par for the course in that part of what Gary Rowan offers is like extreme high end athleticism, and the reality is that as he gets to the back end of his career, that's going to start being impacted, and so you're just trying to get him in the best possible position to play his best footy at the best time. I'm a little bit nervous about these foot injuries, given the whole thing like with Jack Henry, and didn't Tom Stewart have a foot injury not long ago? Was that 2021 where his season got ended with a foot injury? So Ollie Henry foot injury just makes me that little bit nervous.
Plantation fascia.
Yeah, okay. It just makes me nervous. So like I there's no reason to be apart from superstition, I guess, but he's looked so good Ollie Henry. Like, I just feel like as Hawkeye starts to fade into the winter of his career, seeing Ollie Henry and the way he played in the match sim, and I mean last year in his first season at the club was just like, oh, you can breathe a sigh of relief because we've got this kid coming along who's absolutely spring-heeled, smart, you know, creative, brave footballer. And yeah, now I'm just a little bit. Hopefully, it's nothing.
Yeah, thankfully,
Hopefully it's
Ollie
nothing.
Henry's. So they pulled him out because it was a rolled ankle, and they were being just precautious. Like, I think if that was
I
a
said that about Guthrie too, though.
23 round game, then you probably would have played him. Is kind of the way I read that. But why take the risk in a preseason game that counts for nothing? So I'm quietly confident Cam Guthrie will be all right. We haven't got Phoenix Foster on there, and we were very quick to jump all over that over the weekend. Doesn't seem to be too bad from the horse's mouth, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully, Phoenix's sake, everything's good soon.
Yeah, look, we send you our best wishes, Phoenix. You're
Absolutely.
We've adopted you on this channel, on this network, and we want you to go well. And we know that you will. We just got to hang in there. It's a long season. All right. Any other injuries that I haven't thought of? I think I've covered all of them. There's probably one or two that we don't know about that might be a surprise before round one in 10 days' time or 11 days' time. I think it is.
No surprise injuries. We're going to go in with a clean bill of health, and we're going to smash it this year.
Beautiful. So if everything goes well and this bloke gets picked, and I'm not going to go through every single milestone, but we'll start with some milestones now. But if he plays, Tanner Bruin plays his 50th game, AFL game, I should say, in round one versus St Kilda, I imagine he'll get picked. He's an absolute star. He's going to take it to another level this year. He should go pretty well. Do you guys have high hopes for him for this year? You think he's going to take another step in his career? I'll start with Johnny, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell he's really starting to gel into this team really well, and I feel like the same as you. He's going to take another step this year, being another year at the Cats. Then expect about a year for young guys to really start finding their feet at a new club. So I reckon this year he'll really step it up and become a key cog of this team.
Jake, I'll ask you another one, not about Tanner Bruin, but another. I'm going to pull up a graphic here too, Jake. Another, not as fancy as the airport lounge ones, but bloke in the middle there. Round 3 versus Hawthorn. He's due to play his 350th AFL game, Mr. Tom Hawkins. Hello, Tom, if you're watching. How good? How good is that going to be? And will they get 100,000 at that game? Surely, 350 games, Cats versus Hawks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's no player between the two clubs more loved by both sets of fans than Tom Hawkins. Hawthorn fans are very fond memories of Tom Hawkins. Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that what a massive achievement to think back. I was watching some old 2007 games the other day on YouTube, and I think it might have been the Melbourne game when Hawkeye debuted, and he was such an unformed sort of player. He was just a big lad and with a lot of potential. And then you fast forward to what he was like in 2022 on the biggest stage of all. And it's funny to think, Hawkeye has been one of Geelong's most reliable grand final performers. He contributed some pretty valuable things in the game against St Kilda. Likewise, 2011 was at third quarter where he destroyed Ben Reid. And then 2022, underrated. You could say, he could be in the mix as Geelong's best grand final player of the dynasty. If you put all, 3, he's only played in the 3 flags, obviously. But he's done all right every time. So massively excited for him. Obviously, round 3 should be an easy putt to get that one done and locked in early in the season.
If he misses a game between round 3, misses round 1 or 2, and he doesn't play it against Hawthorn, I'll be devastated. I'll be absolutely devastated. Yep. And Paul, just checking you're okay in the background there. The flies or the mozzies getting to you. You're okay.
They're just hanging around. Can we get the winter weather to set in, please?
not too far away, I'm told. The other thing that might spoil the party for Tom Hawkins is some guy might take a bit of shine off him. Oldie Henry's due to play his 50th that same game as well. So hopefully he takes a back seat. Just lets it make all about. We don't want to get the double chair off, do we? No. Tommy Hawkins. Can anyone lift him? That's the thing. Maybe these other two blokes on the screen here, Mark Blitzarves and Jeremy Cameron. Now Blitz is due to play his 250th game the following week in round 4 against the Doggies. I'm going to say he is my favourite player at the footy club, apart from Phoenix, clearly. But no, we absolutely love Mark Blitzarves, and he's probably one of those players that the AFL world hasn't really appreciated enough and is now starting to see what he offers. I'd give my arm and leg for that bloke. I just absolutely love him.
He's a gem. Can do it
Johnny,
all.
Yeah.
do you think he will go down as one of the Geelong greats? Am I getting a little carried away here, Johnny? Pull me up if I am. He's a premiership player. He probably played 300 games for the Cats. Maybe he'll win 2 premierships. Who knows? But he's it's a tricky one to sort of pigeonhole him somewhere, isn't it?
It is, but it's not difficult to put him in as a Geelong great. I mean, he's won best and fairest. He's got All-Australian, pretty sure. Yeah, he got an All-Australian last year twice.
2 best and fairest, yep.
2 best and fairest. Yeah, he's just an absolute champion player. And the Cats wouldn't be the same without him because he can do anything and everything. And as you said, no one really takes notice of him that much outside of the Cats. You're starting to see it now in the commentaries a bit more that they're talking more about him. But who would have thought a steeplechaser could become such a absolute fantastic footy player? And it just goes to show that AFL can be played by any other player, any other athlete in the world.
And don't forget, he was finished when they banned the third man up rule for the ruck contest. Everyone said he's done. He's got no strings to his bow after that. They finished.
Changed the game because of him.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. And he proved them all wrong yet again.
Johnny, if is this the game though? The Blitzarves 250 game round 4. Is this where we're going to see the double chair? Because Reece Stanley also plays his 200th as well. So, assuming they both play every game to start the year, but can we say that I love a double chair? I love a double chair off. Is it going to happen, John?
Yeah, I think it will happen. Definitely for 200 and 250. You got to give him a bit of a chair off.
Yeah, Jake. I know you're probably Reece Stanley's biggest fan so far this preseason. Tell me a little bit about his preseason, what you hope for him for this year, and maybe where he sits in the pecking order with Toby Conway.
Just going to chime in here. It would have been great if Stanley's 200th was against St Kilda, and he could take his premiership medallion and go off the ground with the medallion around his shoulders.
Terrific.
You nasty man.
I think the AFL needs more WWE sort of chicanery, I reckon. So speaking of the double chair, mate. Stanley, no topic has aligned me and the YouTube viewers more than our shared love of Reece Stanley. I think that Stanley up and down preseason for me. I think he gets all 4 games to start the season. I think he gets 200. After that, I think it's an adventure as he and Conway go head to head to win the starting ruck job. I don't really think that you have both of them in the one side. No. Personally, I don't think there's room for that. Stanley probably has a higher floor than Conway, but Conway's got the much higher ceiling. The variance in his game is just a lot larger at the moment. So, I don't know. I think after round 4, it'll become a real head-to-head race.
It'll be interesting to see if he does play it in round. I mean, I've just penciled in based on how many games he's up to now and if he plays the first 4 rounds. Sure. But it may be that him and Toby sort of share. Toby might make a debut in the first month of the season anyway. So we'll wait and see on that one. And maybe we won't see the double chair. We might see a triple chair, though, possibly. We might get... Well, imagine if Hawkins and Blitzarves and Stanley and Cameron, who's due in round 5, to play 250 games, and I might throw to you, Paul. Can we see a quadruple chair? Is that unprecedented in the world of the AFL?
Unprecedented.
Henry
It'd be
misses
cool
out.
to see it, but at the same time, that tells me then that Hawke and Blitzarves and Stanley have all gotten injured somewhere in that time, and that doesn't bode well for our win-loss ratio. So I think I'll happily sacrifice the quadruple chair in favour of a few wins on the board and another chase at the premiership. But I mean, look, obviously incredible effort by Cameron, starting crew at the GWS Giants, and it was only his second year where he suddenly kicked like 60 odd goals. It was a crazy explosive kind of first 24 months for him. And since then, he's never really looked back. Kind of had some downers through the COVID years. He really struggled with the circumstances. Didn't seem to lower his price when the time came for us to pick him up. But anyway, he's an absolute jet, and obviously has potential other milestones coming up in terms of goals scored over the course of the season as well. So he's a ripper. Hopefully he can kind of find his kicking boots again, because he wasn't kicking them straight towards the end of the season last year, and it looked a bit wobbly during the game against the Bombers as well. So hopefully he can just he might just need the occasion to kind of get himself up and about. But yeah. And I'll just throw one little comment in there from Tanner Bruin before. We were talking about the steps he needs to take.
Yes.
How many steps do you need to take to reach to the top of the podium on Brownlow night? Because that's the number of steps.
Oh, you've gone early. He's gone very early.
No. That is not my Brownlow pick, but I like the theatre around it.
You should be able to tell us how many steps, Paul. You're a math teacher, aren't you?
I haven't counted it. I haven't looked at it. They crop it out of the shot. How high is that thing? Just say four will do.
All right, Jake. Now, all right, so let's just go. Let's just play along with me for a little bit. We've got the quadruple chair.
Sure.
But Tommy Hawkins, not only is he playing his 350th, he's absolutely kicked a bag of goals early in the year, and he brings up his 800th goal in the same game. He's due to kick, based on his averages and so forth, I reckon he'll probably kick it in around 6 this year. Can you imagine that as well? 800 goals. Are we going to storm the field? When was that against Brisbane? It's probably up there, isn't it? That'd be crazy. Is that a possibility? And what odds for that? Unbelievable. Regardless of whether he does it the same night, it's crazy. 800 goals.
800 goals is insane. And, as it's often said on Cat's Twitter, many people think that Hawkins probably would have kicked 1,000 if he wasn't so generous. Like, he gives off so many goals, that he could have been one of those 1,000 goal kickers. But to do that, it might have meant sacrificing a premiership medal or two. You know what I mean? Like, that team-focused approach that he has. I'm sure whether it's 820 that he ends his career with, or 790, I think it's all immaterial to him beside all those medals that he has hanging somewhere precious at home, no doubt. Like, yeah, it's massive. 800 goals is just it's staggering. And it's, I think, one of the King brothers, might end up kicking 800 behinds. But Tommy's definitely set the benchmark with the 800 goals.
Johnny,
dig ahead around one.
Let's stay on Tom Hawkins still, because it is quickly becoming the Tom Hawkins show. And Paul, yes. I know you're excited about this as well, but Tom Hawkins is very, very likely, injuries aside, going to take over Joel Selwood as the most capped Geelong Cat of all time, probably in round 9 if he plays every week. That's probably going to bring a tear to my eye when that happens. And I'm sure the Cats, if it's a home game, I'm sure the Cats will do it really well in terms of the theatre around it. But what do you think, mate? How are you going to feel? It's a bit disappointing that Joel Selwood's already lost that title within a year or two of retiring, but it's good either way, I suppose.
Yeah, it's always good to records there be broken. It'll be a bit of a mixed emotion day, I guess, but I don't think Joel Selwood's going to be too caring about losing that. I think
to his best mate.
Best mate.
And you're right, it is at home. We play the Power in Geelong.
So it's going to be a big day for Tom Hawkins, Joel Selwood, the whole club, and it's pretty fitting that Tom Hawkins will take the game's record holder off Joel Selwood. I mean, who else would we want other than Hawkins?
It'd be perfect, wouldn't it, if that happened? Just the two of them
Jai
together.
Clark in about 15 years.
True. He's got to stay on for more than a quarter though, Jake. So we'll see how we go.
That's true.
There's a bunch of other milestones, but we won't rattle through them all. I might post them on the socials, so maybe keep your eye on that over the next few days. And yeah, Cam Guthrie was due to play his 250th, but we'll wait and see on that one now, I suppose. All right, some potential debuts. Now, we kind of touched on this a little bit before. I'll just pull up the next graphic. A few of these boys we sort of talked about, but I'll just go through a few other names on the list that haven't played an AFL game. Some senior listed boys that haven't played a game yet. So we've got Connor O'Sullivan. We spoke about him. Sean Manor, Phoenix Foster, Mitch Hardy was the mid-season draft, I think it was. Mitchell Edwards, Joe Furphy, Lawson Humphreys, Oscar Murdoch, second year at the club for Oscar, George Stevens, James Bruce Willis, second year at the club as well, and Ollie Wiltshire. I haven't said his name twice, have I? So there's a few names there, and I think the general consensus for most of us, at least, was that Shawnee Manor was probably what Guernsey number are we up to, Paul? You'd know this you remember this one when we had this chat a while ago. It's 1,019 or something.
Geelong.
2019.
No, I'm not going to be able to find that information off the top of my head. I'll smash the Google in a moment, but it was a big number. It was a big number. It'll be good to see a few of these guys add to that tally over the course of the year. Of course, that means some of the older guys are out at that point, and so for every edition, there's got to be some subtractions. I am curious to kind of see who potentially makes way, whether it's through injury or whether it's these guys are bashing the door down and maybe there's some weaker links within the starting. And I guess I'm kind of half segueing here to your 23 coming up, Ben. But, do the likes of Zach Toohey and Jake Kolajazzi and those sort of guys who are, in the back ends of their career and are maybe a little bit vulnerable, do they start creating gaps for some of these blokes who are potentially dominating? Does Shawnee Manor, because Gary Rowan's out at the moment, stands to be out for round one, does he take that opportunity? Because he obviously did a pretty great job during the preseason game. I think he only played half of it, didn't he? And lit it up pretty quickly. So there's opportunities there, and it's just a matter of when they emerge, are these guys ready to take them? And my hope is that's a yes, but we'll have to see.
How many debuts do you think we're going to see? I think most years, and anyone else can chip in with this as well, but I reckon most years we might see 2 to 3, sometimes 4 at a stretch, but very rarely do you see in a strong, successful club like Geelong, you don't really see that many debuts.
Oh, yeah. The only thing sorry, you go, Paul.
Oh, no, sorry, go on. No, please.
Only thing I'd say, I guess, is that, the last couple of seasons we've seen Geelong give goes to guys like Ollie Dempsey comes to mind, even when you're having a strong year, because you have the luxury of being able to rest someone. If the Cats are doing well, in some ways it's like you might be just as likely to see a handful of debuts if you've got one where you're like, we're probably going to chalk that up, or it's a dead rubber or whatever. But my little contribution here would just be, I would love to see James Willis get to the point where he could earn a debut. Anyone who's watched him in the VFL, he just flashes this incredible explosive upside. But a bit like we talked about with Flynn Kroger earlier, injury has just hampered him the whole time. We drafted him in 2021, so this is actually his third season.
I thought
at the Cats. Yeah. And it's just been really hard for him to crack into the VFL team because of injury. When he does play, it's a high variance. But there's a game, I think it was against Southport last year, and he kicked 3 goals, I can't remember, it was somewhere around 20 touches, and just showed a really explosive upside. But ideal world, he gets healthy this year and delivers on all the potential he has coming out of the draft a few years ago. So that'd be my wish casting, I suppose, that out of that group we get to see James Willis pull on the AFL level hoops.
I reckon 2/3 to 3/4 of those players that I've just rattled off are probably not going to get an opportunity this year, which kind of is really, that sucks for them. And I want all of them to get a chance, but I also want success on the field for the Cats as well.
For a bit of context, we had 8 8 players debuted for the Cats last year. Now, admittedly, some of
8?
those were the likes of
Holy moly.
Now, admittedly, just to, I guess for that bit of context, some of those were your Tanner Bruins and Ollie Henrys that come from other clubs.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I think that's what, 2?
No, I'm probably thinking more first.
Oh, sorry, Jack Bowes as well. So I guess that leaves 5 that debuted, played their first ever game.
I guess if you sort of think about just your first game of AFL footy,
We had 5 last year then.
yes, that's still pretty high though, isn't it?
2 in the final game of the season.
Maybe Closey.
So it was Conway,
Closey, Clark,
Mullen, Jai Clark, and Cooper White. That's the 5.
Yep.
Wow.
And also, whoever debuts first will be cap number 1,113. Phoenix Foster, we've already declared
1,113
summer series.
Okay.
So
Okay, Johnny, how many debuts are we getting this year from you? What's your number?
Oh,
Is it we're getting another 5 this year? 5 last year, 5 this year. Transition.
I'm going to say, 1, 2. I'm going to get about 4 or 5.
Okay, so about 9 over 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I think to your point, Jake, as well. When the team's going well, you might get a chance to debut, but you're not going to get a 5 or 6 week stretch in the ones, are you? That's probably the downside to it. But you reckon 4 or 5, John, is probably what your pick was?
Yeah, I reckon 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Connor O'Sullivan, Sean Manor, hopefully Phoenix Foster, and I reckon George Stevens is in for a sneaky chance to get in there, and then one of the others. I'm not sure who else would get a chance.
Be a few happy people if George Stevens got an opportunity.
Oh, yes.
I think we're a few fans out there that are already taking a bit of a liking to him. All right, guys, now let's move along to the my best 23. Now I'm putting myself out there for you guys to pull me apart, and I'm sure everyone in the comments as well. Go your hardest. I can handle it.
keyboard's ready, everyone.
Get it ready. Tell me where I got it wrong. All right. Can you see that? Maybe it's a bit small on the screen for me. So I've got Zach in the back line. I've got Zach Guthrie, Sam DeConning, and Connor O'Sullivan. Now, this is my best 22 at the end of the year. I probably should preface that. So I think Connor O'Sullivan will work his way into the best side by the end of the year. On the halfback line, I've got Tom Stewart, Jack Henry, and Mitch Duncan. And then in the center, I've got Max Holmes, Tom Atkins, and Mark Blitzarves. Might be some questions around Blitzarves on a wing, but and then I think high half forward. He's the best in the game. Brian Myers, Jeremy Cameron, and Brad Close. 2 closies now. Okay, Brad Close. And then the forwards, we've got Tyson Stengel, Tom Hawkins, and Ollie Henry. The followers, we've got Toby Conway as the number 1 ruck at the end of the year, pushing out Stanley. And then you've got Paddy Dangerfield and Cam Guthrie somehow finding his way back in. Now, this is really small. Tanner Bruin on the interchange bench. I've got Tanner Bruin, Jed Buse, Gary Rowan, Mitch Nevitt, your man, Paul, and Jai Clark as the medical sub. Now, go your hardest. John, I'll start with you. What do you think? What do you like? What do you think's absolutely ridiculous?
I like the whole thing. I think that it's
John. That's why we pay you. That's why you're getting an extra bonus at Christmas time.
I'm a bit surprised. No Sean Manor. You
no,
don't
couldn't
have
get him
Sean
in.
Couldn't fit him in.
No.
Interesting call there. I like the rest. And no Ollie Dempsey. Where's Oliver Dempsey?
I know. I did this a few
Are
weeks
you crazy?
ago. Would I get Ollie Dempsey ahead of Gary Rowan or Jed?
I think
I don't know.
it is a tough one, but I think it'll be out of Mitch Nevitt and Oliver Dempsey. And I think right at this point, I think Oliver Dempsey might have his number. But apart from that, it's going to be tough. I tell you, it's going to be a tough year to know who's in each week. But it's up to every player to play their best to keep their spot. But I think you're pretty close, I reckon. I reckon you could be pretty close on best 22 at the end of the year. So,
I hope so, because I don't want to see the old guys get pushed out, but I do want to see the younger guys push up. Anyway, Jake, what do you think? Be kind.
I think that's all I know how to do.
You want your Christmas bonus?
That's right. It's fantastic. Really wouldn't change a thing. No, the graphics great too. Whoever put it together did a really good job.
Colin did fantastic.
Look, the only thing I would Exactly. Well done,
Colt
Colin.
Dashney?
I would probably have Mitch Nevitt out right now. I've been a big Mitch Nevitt stan since he
not gonna like this.
came to the team. I just think right now I'd put Dempsey on the bench, and I'd probably have Nevitt left out. I think that's probably the easier change to make. I was looking at the back line going, this is going to be sacrilegious, and it'll be sacrilegious, especially once he's like churning out 24 touches a game and a bunch of intercept marks and setting things up. But like, is this the year with Mitch Duncan where it sort of comes down a little bit? I saw some stuff in the preseason that made me a little bit worried, but I'm chalking it up right now because I love Mitch Duncan. I'm chalking that up as it was preseason. But I don't know. I like with Max Holmes moving down back, is that a bit of signal? I guess. We want Max Holmes down the back, explosiveness, sort of that raking kick that he can have. We want him to learn down there and then take the job. But I see Dempsey on a wing and floating forward. That's what I sort of see for Dempsey. And unfortunately for Mitch Nevitt, that's probably what a lot of people saw Mitch Nevitt as being able to do. Play on the wing, and then he's also a great contested mark. And unfortunately, Dempsey is really good at those things. And I think just right at the moment is probably playing better, more confident footy.
Well, shots have been fired on your man, Mitch Nevitt, by Jake. Time to return serve. What have you got to say?
I'm not returning serve. I agree for now.
Ooh.
As much as I think the ceiling for Mitch Nevitt is potentially higher, I think based on everything that's exposed and even the selection around the game against the community week against Essendon would suggest that Ollie Dempsey's ahead, and he played a pretty damn good game too in that. I can't remember how much he played. I think it was a good 3/4 or so of it. Like he was really solid, and makes the argument to have a spot. So right now, I would argue that he is ahead of Mitch Nevitt. Again, I think Mitch Nevitt maybe in the fullness of time might actually be, I guess, the better quote unquote player. Hard to kind of measure because they might very well play different roles. But right now, I think Ollie Dempsey's ahead and probably deserves that final spot on the bench prior to the Medi-sub. It will be interesting to see. Obviously, we've got Toby Conway in there, and that is the assumption, I presume, that he, I guess, remains fit over the course of the year. I guess I'm curious to know what your thinking was around that, whether it was that Toby kind of remained fit, and so as I guess you see the natural improvement that's going to occur. I mean, his debut when he beat the All-Australian Ruckman, so naturally he's going to be the All-Australian this year, right? But or was that more about Reece Stanley and what happens to him over the year? What was your thinking behind that one? I'm curious.
Probably. Well, my thinking to start with was I think they'll want to get plenty of games into Toby Conway, and probably similar to Jake's comment about Mitch Duncan. Is he getting really close to the end, and can his body hold up? And we all know Reece Stanley's had some issues with his health over the last year or two. He's still playing great footy considering, but I think Toby will probably be that man towards the end. And Reece, if things start to go downhill for Reece, it might be that, well, why are we keeping this Toby Conway in the VFL? Why aren't we getting him to 50 games as quick as we can? You want him to earn it. You want all the players to earn their spot. But sometimes you need to give them the experience as well.
I guess my pushback on that, and it's only, I guess, because of the naming, like you've called it best 22 or 23, whatever.
Yeah.
I think if we're talking about an assault on the finals, we're getting towards the pointy end. We've got a largely fully healthy list. Then, for as much as we want to develop Toby Conway, if Reece Stanley's available and he's fit, I feel like the club probably errs on the side of Reece Stanley simply because he's been there. He's got that aerobic capacity that at the moment Toby Conway doesn't. And I mean, like he's more of your traditional plot, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, more of that traditional kind of plodding ruckman. So that speed and strength and everything that kind of Reece Stanley has been able to draw upon for years, it's been giving him the edge in contests, even against your Max Gorns of the competition. Might be something that's going to be looked upon more fondly when we get to that point of the year. So I'm wondering if we're talking, about a best 22, then maybe Reece does also hold on to that spot. But I guess I've picked the teeth out of 2 out of your 4 so far. The other 2 I completely agree with. All things going well, I think Connor O'Sullivan does probably take that spot from Zach Tui / Jake Kolodjasny, and I think Jai Clark naturally gets to make that jump as well. So I think the rest of the list, I'm
no one's mentioned
mostly on board
Parfitt.
with.
No one mentioned Parfitt. I haven't got him in this list, but no one clearly rates him to make a comeback. This is the year of a Parfitt comeback. I don't see it.
I mean, I hope so, because I think he's going back to kind of the comment about Mitch Nevitt with ceilings. I think his ceiling is huge, but he just seems to have kind of lost his way a little bit. And whether that's kind of the definition of his role that's created that problem or something else entirely, I don't know. But it does feel like he's kind of lost his way a little bit on the field.
Hopefully,
you would
finds
almost
something.
think that he would be a perfect player to come in. You know, when you're talking about, we need someone who can be hard in and under, win a bunch of contested ball and get it out to the. We were talking about this on the Chaps pod the other night, saying you look at the contrast from 2022 to 2023, and one of the biggest issues was our lack of uncontested footy. And I think that really came from a breakdown in clearance work and contested work that stopped the supply to the outside. So like Parfitt could be that perfect sort of player, but he's just lacked the form, and unfortunately, like, has also been hampered by injury. And when he's played VFL, it's been up and down. There's been some of the same sort of disposal issues and that sort of thing. If I may take 10 seconds just on Mitch Nevitt, saying, Paul mentioned like the potential of different roles. I think Mitch Nevitt's ceiling could be like a genuine, like, A-grade midfielder, which I don't think is something that Ollie Dempsey's going to have. Ollie Dempsey's a different kind of, to me, Ollie Dempsey's that like Stevie J, Brian Myers, playmaking kind of outside player. I think Mitch Nevitt has the frame and the type of skill set that if he put it all together, like he has that, like, big body midfielder, but it's just whether it all comes together.
Zach, different size and height and all that, but Zach Guthrie took about 4 or 5 years to put some muscle on, didn't he? So can you? I think we'd think about Ollie Dempsey a little bit differently if his arms and chest and all that was a little bit bigger, and you think, oh god, he can throw some tin around the room now. But I think he just seems a bit too light framed for AFL at this stage. Give him time. If he's got to play, his skills are got to be really there to get games. If he can get 10 games this year and keep a spot on the list for next year, I'm very, very optimistic about his ceiling in the future. But I agree with all your comments. If there's any names, maybe anyone who's watching in the chat that we haven't mentioned, there's probably one or two that you think, oh, hang on, what about this guy? And let us know in the comments. But we'll keep the show moving because I'll touch briefly on the fixture for the Cats this year, but I won't stay on it too long because we want to get to some predictions. And we have done a video about the fixture already. Maybe I'll put a link to that in the comments down below. But so we've got a couple of double up games this year. We've got the Kangaroos, the Blues, the Bulldogs, the Saints, the Hawks. Thank you very much, and the Crows. I'm feeling pretty good about those double ups. Maybe not the Blues so much, but get them at the right time. We should be okay. All the other ones I'm feeling very good about. Maybe the Crows are another one there. The first 4 weeks of the year, guys, we've got the Saints, the Crows, the Hawks, and the Bulldogs. One word answer, John. How many wins are we getting in the first 4 weeks?
4.
Jake?
4.
And Paul, mix it up. Don't mix it up.
5.
I should have asked that.
There you go. Hang on.
Sorry, I probably would have said 4, but I felt like I needed to go different at that point.
What is your job?
I feel like there's 4.
What is your job outside of being a co-host of a YouTube channel?
My job outside of. And how many games are we playing?
4.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the first 6. Damn it. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, then I guess I'll say 3.
3. There you go. All right. The last
Who we
4
got
weeks,
lose to?
the last
Crows
four,
over there.
4 weeks of the year, we've got the Crows, the Dockers, the Saints, and the Eagles. And we've got 4 games against top 4 sides, 5 games against bottom 4 sides, 9 games on the home deck, 6 games at the home of footy at the MCG, and 7 interstate games, which seems like a lot more than we normally would get, but I guess you throw in gather around and that in there as well. All right, let's get to some predictions now. I'm going to need to pull out my notes here to figure out where I'm up to here. But just to take you through what we're going to go through here, we've got most improved players at the club, all Australians at the club, Cargie Graves medalist, the best and fairest wins, and where we're going to finish on the ladder. The biggest jump of any team, this is probably where we get into more general kind of AFL stuff. Wooden spoon, the top 8, Premier and the runner-up. This is a new one I added today, guys. Grand final entertainment or entertainer. First coach sacked. Paul and I have already talked about this one on a previous episode. Rising Star, Coleman medal, and Brownlow medal. Let's start with most improved players at the club this year, though, and we'll start with John. Who do you think of all the Cats is going to make the biggest improvement in 2024?
Biggest improvement. I'm going to say the guy we were talking about earlier, take the steps needed to get to that Brownlow stand, and Tanner Bruin.
Yes.
Paul, do you agree with that? Have you got someone else?
I mean, it was a nice little joke before, but I feel like I need to lean into it now.
You do.
I feel like, and I know you guys, the chaps, had a fair bit to say about this over the course of last week. But Jai Clark, I know we've kind of got him, Ben, in your 23 listed as the Medi sub, but the way he carried himself in that game, that intense tackling pressure, but paired with the efficient disposal, got his hands on the ball plenty as well. I look at it and I go, Jesus. I mean, I know everyone was kind of like, Joel Selwood 2.0 or whatever, but I look at that and go, that's what people were talking about. Like you could see it in the way he played.
He could see it
with
himself.
with maybe a touch more speed. Sorry, what was that, Ben?
I was saying he got the sense that he's starting to believe. He seemed a bit tentative to start off, and he's like, actually, I can play at this level now. You can only imagine he's going to take that another step next week or the week after.
His one experience in the AFL was for less than a quarter, and he got injured. So there's probably that hint of, when you're a kid too, like that sticks with you probably more than what you are when you're a senior player and you get injured late in the piece. So I get it a little bit. But I think to have that positive experience in a preseason game probably throws that all that anxious energy that probably just goes in the bin. So I feel like he could be our biggest improver this year. I don't know if I put a limit and say he's starting on field in the midfield. I feel like that might be biting off maybe a touch too much, but I also don't see why he couldn't. We know that's a real area that's of required improvement for us, and if he's ticking all the boxes over the course of the year, then why not?
Very cool. What about you, Jake?
No, I'll keep it simple. Jai Clark, that's the name I had written down. I think he showed, the ability to transform to that next level on the weekend just gone. I think it's all in there now. It's just a matter of getting it out. So, Jai Clark for me.
I'm with you, Johnny. I'm on the Tanner train for this year. I reckon Tanner Bruin is the man. And I don't think he'll get the Brownlow, but he's going to nudge. He's going to climb very high. I thought I was
going to be the odd one out there, so I'm glad you're on. You chose Tanner too, Ben.
No, I'm with you, John, all the way. All right, who of our squad could be all? Well, maybe not. Could be. Let's use our heads a little bit more. Who will be all Australians in 2024? I might go first on this one. I've got Jezza, Tom Stewart, Max Holmes, and Ollie Henry.
Nice.
55 goals plus Ollie Henry. I'm expecting huge things from him. I'm expecting a Tyson Stengel type. It's probably could have had him as most improved, but he was pretty good last year too. But that's who I've gone with.
I think you can't kick 40 odd goals like Ollie did and say, I'd make it 50 and he's the most improved. So.
No. Paul, keep going, Paul. Who have you got as your all Australians?
Look, you touched on a few there that I think will absolutely make the cut. And so I think, Tom Stewart feels like just you may as well just go to the committee when they have their first meeting, write his name down and go, okay, we'll fill in the other 21 spots around him. That's how it's been going since he made his first appearance. You mentioned Tyson Stengel, not necessarily in your list there, but I feel like he might be back this year. Now, I think that is predicated on Geelong's success. I think if we're up and about, then he's up and about. He's definitely that kind of player that rides the fortunes of the club. Beyond that, I don't know. And I talk about the Cats, and I guess we'll talk about it shortly in terms of ladder positions. I feel like the Cats are going to feature pretty prominently as the season plays out. But I don't know if we've necessarily got a squad of players that are necessarily going to be filling up positions in the All-Australian. I feel like it could be the team effort sort of year. Jeremy Cameron, I feel like, is obviously an awesome chance, especially if he plays even remotely close to what he was like in that first, what was it, about 7 or 8 games last year before the first of the injuries, and then kind of the bit of the momentum dip from there. So I feel like Cameron, Stewart, and Stengel are probably my 3. And then after that, you could probably throw a blanket over a bunch of others that could be a rock solid chance, but need to have absolute breakouts and everything kind of working for them from there.
Jake, have you got anyone other than Jezza and Tom Stewart that you think could make the next step, or maybe get there again in the case of Tyson Stengel?
Well, I swear I wasn't copying your homework, but I had Tom Stewart, Max Holmes, and Jeremy Cameron. But I also chucked in a 4th name, which I don't know if he's a lock, but I think he's a guy I think has the upside. Zach Guthrie. I really think
he's a dark
he
one
could
for
make
me.
a dash for it. Yep.
He's under
really
the blanket.
Good player.
Under
like he just
blanket,
happens. Yeah, he lives in Stewie's shadow, but he's a phenomenal footy player.
I think because he plays the same role, I think that hurts him a little bit. But we really saw in that period when Tom Stewart was out the other year, where that was his moment where he exploded. He had to play the kind of number 1 intercept defender role, and he played it, I think, just as well as what Tom Stewart did and does. But of course, once Tom Stewart came back, he had to kind of fall back into line and play second fiddle to him. So I don't know if there's a way that they can kind of massage it between the two of them. And obviously we've heard this chatter about what may or may not happen with Tom Stewart's role over the course of the year. Now, I don't know if I believe that Tom Stewart's going to become a midfielder.
Goal-kicking midfielder.
But, well, I suppose what did he do this past weekend, right? But if his role does adapt a little bit, or he spends a little bit less time up there, and Zach is able to spend more time as kind of that key intercept defender, why not, right?
I'd love to see it.
Can't argue.
Johnny, any other names you think could, under Paul's nice cozy blanket that we haven't already mentioned, is there any other name you think could make that step to All-Australian level?
I'm just going to chuck out an absolute wild,
I love it.
Sort of probably crazy one. But if you guys are right in saying Reece Stanley plays round 4, and then Toby Conway comes in.
He did just beat the All-Australian ruckman in his 1 game, right?
Yeah,
Toby Conway. Imagine that.
Like, I've got to chuck Toby Conway as crazy opportunity chance. Out of left field. If he just plays an absolute outstanding year in the ruck. Like, he's got a lot of height behind him. He's tall, he's brutally athletic, and what we've seen so far is he looks solid in the ruck. So why not? I'm just going to chuck it out there.
And with that, John, you have officially made the promo for the season preview video with that bold prediction. I love it.
Yeah, can we clip that out and put it in TikToks and Instagram Reels and all? I'm going to break that shit out.
All the reels.
And if it does happen, I go, I knew it.
Exactly.
That.
Don't back down from it.
A week before the season started.
All right,
I'm seeing the graphic. Like,
oh yeah,
the brain explosion. Conway to All-Australian. There you go.
Yep, 1 game.
Followed by is the bump dead, and upset a whole bunch of people apparently.
Yeah. Oh well. What can you do? All right, who's taking out the Cargie Greaves? 1 or 2 words, first name, surname. John, who's winning the Cargie this year? The Cats.
It's a tough one.
It's not a name.
I'm going to go with the obvious choice in Tommy Stewart.
Tom Stewart. What do you reckon, Paul?
Jeremy Cameron. I think he's kicking 80 plus this year.
It's going to be hard to beat.
And what about you, Jake?
It will be hard to beat.
Yeah, I'm going Tommy Stewart as well. Contractually obliged.
I'm going my boy from last year. I said he was going to win the Brownlow last year. I was a little bit off, but I'm going to go Max Holmes, first time Cargie Greaves medalist at the Geelong Footy Club. Hopefully those hammies hold up for him. I'm loving Max Holmes, especially after the game of the weekend. All right, how many wins and where are we finishing on the ladder, guys? I'm going to say Cats with 17 wins and finishing 4th in a reasonably tight top 4.
Yeah, I'm the same. 17-4.
17-4.
I've
Jake?
got 16 wins and finishing in 4th.
Ooh, that's even tighter.
I'm
What about you,
gonna
Jake?
just be a bit different. I'm gonna say 18 wins
Ooh.
and maybe 3rd or 4th.
Johnny's energy tonight is first class. I love it. Got the Toby Conway All-Australian and Cats
Bullish.
18 wins. Oh, if that comes off, John, Christmas bonuses. It's gonna-
I'm really looking forward to getting out a card saying, "I told you guys, told you so."
We'll get
Write it now and leave it sitting by the desk all year.
A whole
All right, I
episode
will.
to I told you so. All right, which team? Okay, now we're on probably the rest of the 8. We've done with Geelong. If this is your jumping off point, everyone, see you later. But we'll
boring
quickly
part.
finish up. Last 5 minutes. Stay with us to the end. You've come this far. Which team in the AFL is making the biggest jump up the ladder this year? Paul, go with you first.
Adelaide Crows. Where they finished, was it 9th or 10th in the end last year?
Just outside. I think something.
And I've got them finishing about 5th. So it's not like a crazy jump, but there's always one that kind of springs from the bottom half up. And I mean, I've predicted 2 this year. We'll get to that shortly. But the Crows will be the bigger of those 2.
Jake?
Adelaide Crows
Ooh,
for me.
Okay. What about you, John?
I'll
say
just
West
follow
Coast.
suit and say Adelaide. No, not West Coast, dude. I'm not that
18th to 17th is a big jump.
It's true.
I'll just go with the Crows as well.
I'm going to do the right thing by the loyal followers of the Hoops Crew Media Network and say the Cats will jump from 12th.
Oh, yeah. Actually, what am I talking about? Of course. Hang on. Yeah,
What's
we've
going
got
on,
them finishing
everyone?
4th, of course. Jesus.
Everyone, oh my God. Anyway, that's okay.
Well, you see, we don't see it as a big jump because last year was
It's
just
just what we expect.
True.
blip.
It was an aberration,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
It didn't
Right.
happen.
It didn't
Now, this
happen.
is an easy one. Wooden
Outlier.
spoon. Has anyone got anyone other than West Coast as their wooden spooner in 2024?
No.
Not unless Daisy goes to coach
Yes.
the men's team as well.
We're all saying West Coast, unfortunately. Clarkson will be sacked.
Oh, no, I've got a
Down
different
to-
team. I've
Oh,
got
hang on.
the
All right.
Freo
The
Dogs.
floor is
Whoa,
yours,
whoa.
Jake.
Oh,
The
yeah.
floor
Okay.
is yours.
Freo. Fremantle to finish
Oh.
bottom.
You- Friend of the channel, UCAT, won't be happy with that. I'll have to tag him in this episode and just
Sorry.
put a little timestamp. Hey, UCAT, there you go. Noah. Yeah, no, he won't be happy with that. But I think you could be right. There's a lot of hype
All right.
about Nat Fife at the moment, so we'll see if that's true. But I like that. Paul, those WA teams, they're going to struggle this year, especially if they finish bottom, both in the bottom 4. All right, Paul. Now you
Bloody
shared
bias.
your top 8 the other day and your ladder predictions. Do you want to just take us through that very, very quickly?
Yeah, I can quickly recap that. I kind of tiered, like it was tiered into blocks of 2, so I didn't work out the ultra granular level, but
That's
I've got the Pies and the Lions sitting top 2, the Cats and the Swans 3rd and 4th, the Crows and the Giants 5th and 6th, and making the jump into their first final series ever, Gold Coast Suns alongside Carlton.
Brave. Very brave.
Very.
I'll put a bit of faith in Dimmer.
I like it.
Jake, much different there?
Yeah, I think there are a few different. I've got Collingwood finishing top. I've got the Adelaide Crows finishing 2nd. I reckon their home ground becomes an absolute nightmare to play out this year. I've got the Dogs going up to 3rd. I watched both their preseason games, and I think despite the fact they were playing Hawthorn, I don't know. I think they've recruited more midfield talent. I've got the Cats finishing 4th. I've got the Tigers finishing 5th. I've got the Swans in 6th, the Bombers in 7th, and I've got the Giants in 8th.
The Tigers.
Interesting. What about you, John? Much different again, or similar, or
I'm not sure because I really haven't done a ladder. My
that's
top
all right.
8.
Top 4 then. Give us your
So
top
I'm just going
4.
to say it's going to be a mix between Jake and Poles.
All right. I'm going to start with my top. I'm going to go from top to finishing first to.
I work today, so that's my
there you go.
excuse.
Fair enough. All right. So my top, and again, come at me. GWS will finish the home and away season on top of the ladder, followed by Brisbane, Collingwood, Geelong to round out the top 4. And then you've got Carlton, Sydney, Melbourne, and Port Adelaide, rounding out the top 4 there. So I can't remember who's dropped out, but so I didn't have Bulldogs anywhere near it, Jake. But
What about the Bombers, Ben? Aren't they going to finish like top 4 or something?
We've tried that. We tried that. Jake's taken that one on this time around. So I'll do it again. I've got GWS up there, so that's the big one. That'll be the I Told You So episode later in the year.
From
Toby
prelim finals to
Toby
top 4.
Conway's All Australian and GWS. Finished up. Me and Johnny will do our own show. We'll do a series of shows, Johnny, just telling everyone about how good we are.
Exactly.
That's coming.
Who's
winning the whole thing, though? We'll start again. We'll go with you on that one, Johnny. Who's winning the whole thing and who's coming runner-up?
I'm going to say Geelong's going to win it, obviously.
Okay.
And Collingwood's going to be the runners-up.
Repeat of 2011.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Paul?
I think the Pies are going to win. And I desperately hope I'm wrong. But I think the Pies are going to win probably against the Lions again. I feel like this kind of stinks of kind of an inverted 2002, 2003 sort of thing here.
I don't like it.
Don't like it.
No, neither do I. Neither do I. I hate it. I hate it.
Jackie B.
I've got Geelong triumphing because contractual obligation, but I've got them.
What have you guys signed that I haven't?
In a massive
a little soundbite.
We can't talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Cats are going to
my
win a massively entertaining grand final over the Adelaide Crows.
At the MCG. Nice. I'd love to see that.
Have we played the Crows in a final before, in a grand final?
No.
I didn't think so.
I don't think we've had them in a grand final, no.
I'm a bit wobbly with my power.
Crows have only featured in, 2 of them? 97, 98, and they won both of those, but that wasn't against us. So,
all right, Johnny, you've had all the time in the world to prepare for this one, John. So, who is your grand final entertainment? Who's the big entertainer, John?
I actually thought about this today. Before I even knew what the episode was going to be about, and I was thinking a great Australian band, the Veronicas.
Veronicas.
Yeah.
Yes.
I reckon they would do a great entertainment show. Halftime show.
Like it. Jake, have you got there someone a bit left field or an international act, perhaps?
Massively international act. Actually, all the way from Glasgow, Scotland. The Willy Wonka experience for the 2024
musical version.
grand final. Yeah, there's
Broadway.
Thinking about the gold that's ready to be mined there in terms of story and theatre. It's great for the kids. It's great for the grandparents. It's great for everyone, really. The Willy Wonka experience for the halftime entertainment.
Oh, I
love that. I love that. Paul, something along that line?
So not quite. Currently, right now, she sits 10th on the ladder for the number of games played at the MCG in 2024. It's not going to happen, but I like the fun and games just around the idea that Taylor Swift come back and jumps into the top 8. Most games played at the MCG in 2024. Because right now, let's just go through the list. She will play more games at the MCG equal to both Port Adelaide and Sydney, and then more than Adelaide, Brisbane, Freo, GWS, St Kilda, Western Bulldogs, Gold Coast, North Melbourne, and West Coast.
Pretty good.
But not as many as the Cats.
Not as many as the Cats. We are sitting pretty in 7th spot with 6 games at the G.
Beautiful. Well, I've gone with a lovely lady who was also here recently, Pink with an asterisk. Exclamation mark, sorry. Pink, I think she loves Australia. She'll come back again and she'll go. That's a bit safe and boring, that one, but that's where I've gone with there. Now, what else have I got? First coach sack. Now, Paul and I, we already talked about this one on another episode.
Woof, woof.
It was either late last year or early this year, but first coach sacked, I had Luke Beveridge from the Western Bulldogs. So, Jake, I don't think they're making finals. I think they're bombing out hard. And, no good. He'll be gone by about round 12.
I've got Adam Simpson. Seems like an obvious one from West Coast, but I've got him going. But then just throw this out there. This one came to mind. Simon Goodwin.
Oh, yes.
That's a good one.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just had a feeling.
I can see it.
Yep. I could see that as well.
John, who have you got? Who's saying farewell?
Alistair Clarkson. I reckon it's
Oh, yeah.
all the off-field
He'll get
stuff.
kicked out of the AFL.
All the off-field
it.
stuff's going to come too much for North Melbourne, and they're going to have to get rid of him.
Who's the
He's
Freo
already
coach
yelled.
again?
John
Who's the
Longmire.
Freo coach?
Sorry, Longmuir. Sorry.
Longmuir. Well, Jake, if you're right, Jake, and they finish last, I think he's a certainty to go. But
He's under pressure more than most. Those two WA coaches are in a tough spot.
Oh, they
did we do your one, Paul? I can't remember. Sorry.
Well, no, I was as you mentioned, we did it during the summer series. Bevo for me.
Bevo for you as well. All right. Nearly there. Rising star for the year. Who did I have? Riley Sanders for me. But there you go. There's one for the Bulldogs. Riley's something to smile about. Doggies fans. Riley Sanders, absolute gun. He should take it out easily. What do you reckon, Paul?
He was one I was considering. There's just and I've forgotten his name now because he was the one that I was really hoping that we'd
Caddy?
grab.
Nate Caddy?
No, I didn't want Nate Caddy. Damn it, Daniel Curtin.
Oh yeah,
So, from the Crows. We thought it was kind of be a race between the hometown teams or Geelong, and then the Crows kind of traded up to grab him, and I think it was a very, very wise pick. He can play multiple positions. I think he's going to be an awesome pickup for him. I'm going to put some money behind Dan Curtin. Well, I'm not putting money, but you know what I mean. Gamble responsibly.
Yep. Exactly right. Who's next? I can't remember.
Me. That's right. I'm gonna say that future two-time Geelong Premiership winning star and Brownlow medalist Harley Reid will win the Rising Star.
Yep, I think you're right.
Lovely.
There. Could go close.
When did Ashcroft do his knee?
Early to mid last year.
That's true.
Yeah.
Is he still eligible?
Don't think so.
I
He would
mean,
have played more than 10 games.
If he's not kicking, like he. Oh, hang on. It's Will Ashcroft, isn't it? I put Marcus.
Yeah. We'll get his brother as well down at the Cattery at some point.
Oh, no. It was round 18 against us. So, no. It
was later in the year. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
So, he's not eligible. So, scratch that then.
I'm going to go with Jai Clark.
Jai Clark. Very nice. Yeah. All right, let's do this one as a double. Coleman medal and Brownlow medal. I'll go first. I've got the Coleman for Joe Danaher and another GWS one. I've got Tom Green taking a big leap this year. What do you reckon, John? Do you want to go? I'll start with you again.
I'll go. Well, if Paul's right and Cameron kicks 80, that's going to be pretty hard to beat. So I'm going to go Cameron. And then don't want to, but I can just see it happening. And Nick Dacos.
Nice. Go, Paul.
So, as I mentioned, Jeremy Cameron with 80 plus. So I think that's him done. I think Charlie has a down year now. I'm hoping that's not through injury. Obviously, he's got knee history. I'm hoping that doesn't knock him over. But I just think, as I touched on with the ladder position before, I think the Blues are going to just slide a little bit over the course of this year. Maybe the necessary slide for them. But so he'll fall off. Cameron will kick 80 and win it. And on the Brownlow side, I've got Errol Goulden.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that. Well, that's pretty good. Oh, wow. We got through it, guys. We're nearly at an hour and a half. I think we've covered pretty much everything you could cover. I reckon we could talk for another half an hour about the Cats if we really wanted to, but it is getting a little bit late. We are recording this episode on a Tuesday. We'll probably drop it on a Friday by the time everyone sees this. 4 a.m. in the morning, make it 3:50 just to get up a little bit earlier. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks, guys. Paul, Jake, Johnny, for tuning in as well. I love these episodes, as I said off the top. It's one of my favourite one of the year, and we'll definitely do it for the same for the AFLW comp as well, and we'll do some mid-season preview, review, kind of all that sort of stuff as well, and then we'll wrap it up at the end of the year as well. But yeah, look, guys, thank you again.
Live from Castlemaine.
Live from Castle. We'll have to do a live show.
Yes.
We'll have to do a live show with a fan audience, with a loyal fan audience, with all 1,000 plus subscribers on the YouTube channel and nearly 200 on the Spotify and all that sort of stuff. So, which is a lovely segue. Please think about giving us a like and subscribe. It's really, we really want to get to 1,000 early in the year if we can. I think we're almost about 30 away or something like that, Jake, from last time we counted the beans. We're nearly there. We're very, very
34
close.
to go.
Yep, we've got plenty of stuff coming your way soon, guys, on the channel. Almost sort of daily at the moment. Pretty much as soon as this week, really. There's daily stuff coming. Tune in to, well, you've already tuned in by now. Rach Danderfield will have already posted her first Don't Forget Your Tips episode on the Wednesdays every week on a Wednesday. The chaps, you always get them on a Monday and a Thursday. You can't miss your month. Get your popcorn ready on a Monday night and your Thursday night. You got to watch the chaps. And we can't forget about Paul's behind the play. We've got some massive guests. We've just dropped the Jed Buse one, and that's going bonkers at the moment. So we've got some other big names coming your way as well. Plenty more. Don't forget the Patreon as well. There's so much. I could go on forever, guys, but we might have to do a season launch video at some stage. Probably not tonight. It's getting a bit late. But thanks, guys. Go Cats. Hope it's a good 2024. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.
See ya.
So, yeah, go